Good evening, class. Welcome back. Your writing prompt, your warm-up is on the board. And today's prompt, it's write one thing you learned or one question you have about yesterday's lesson on reading newspaper articles. Now remember, you can use your phone to scan the QR code. That's the little square in the middle. And then you can answer this on your phone. Or if you're on a computer, you can type in the URL at the bottom, tinyurl.com/daily ESOL warmup. I'll give you a moment to fill out the form and answer the question. Write one thing you learned or one question you have about yesterday's lesson on reading newspaper articles. This is what your form looks like. You should be finishing up. I'll give you about 2 minutes, maybe 3. Welcome. Good. Yes. Come on in. Do your prompt. All right. Now that everyone has had a chance to fill this out, let's take a look at our answers. So, I see that you learned several things. Thank you for filling this out. You learned that newspaper stories tell you the most important things first. That's good. Oh, here's a question. How do you know if the writer is telling the truth or just what he thinks is right or wrong? Does anybody know the answer to this? Elias? Okay, good. Yeah, you look for words like editorial or opinion page to make sure that the page you're on is whether it's supposed to be a newspaper story or whether it's supposed to be an opinion article. Good. News reports are supposed to report objective, to tell the truth. Okay, we learned that. The most important information is written first. Good. Writers aren't supposed to write their opinions unless what? We just talked about it. Edith? Unless it's writing an opinion piece or an editorial. Very good. Thanks. Now, newspaper stories are supposed to tell the truth, not what the writer thinks. Now, these are the regular newspaper articles, and that's true. And then writers can tell their opinion only when they're writing opinion stories. Editorials. Yeah, that's a hard word. It is a hard word to remember, so you did really well. Good. Okay. Well, today we're going to be reading one of my favorite stories. It's called The Storyteller, and it's written by H.H. Munro, who wrote it he published it under the name Saki back when it first came out. And a lot of the strategies that we practiced in reading newspaper articles are going to work when you read literature and when you read stories as well. So today we're going to practice a couple of things. We're going to practice looking at vocabulary in context. In context means where you find it when it's being used, using the clues around it to help you figure out what it means. And we're also going to work on predicting, trying to guess what's going to happen in a story. And we're going to work on responding to the reading, making it a little more interactive. So we'll be working on readers' responses. So first thing we're going to do is I'm going to pass out the story to you. This is the story and the vocabulary sheet. So let's go over the vocabulary first, now that everyone has a copy of the story and the vocabulary sheet. Now, this is not all of the vocabulary that's going to be hard in this story. This is not an easy story. You're advanced students, so I need this is more of an advanced story. Now, a couple of things to know is that the words in this vocabulary are in the order that they appear in the story. That means you're going to see the word sultry first. Then, in a little while, you're probably going to see the word emphatically, and then persistent. And so if you're looking for a word and you're trying to find it on the list because you just heard it in the story or just saw it, look and see what word it came after, and you'll be able to find it on the list. So we're going to go over this vocabulary. I'm going to say the word, and then I want you to repeat it, and then we'll talk a little bit about what it means, and I'll use it for you in a sentence. So the first word, sultry. Repeat. Again, sultry. Good, that sounded good. This is an adjective, a describing word, and it's really talking about the air or the weather around you. If it's hot and humid, here in South Carolina, it gets really hot and humid in the summertime. The air is kind of wet, and it's just sometimes you just feel so wilted, it's so hot. So here it is in a sentence. The children sat under the tree in the sultry weather. Okay, so that kind of gives you an idea that they're in the shade. Good, let's look at the next one. This one's a little bit harder word, it's longer. So emphatically, I'm going to say it again. Emphatically. Your turn. Good, one more time. Emphatically. Excellent. Now, this is an adverb. It's telling you how things are done. So it means in a forceful way. Mrs. Coulter emphatically insisted that all her students do their homework. Yep, that's me. That's you. Yes. Okay, so let's look at another one. The next word down there is persistent. Good. Again, persistent. Yes. Persistent is another describing word, and it talks about continuing firmly or stubbornly in a course of action in spite of difficulty or opposition. That means that even if somebody's trying to make me stop, I'm going to keep doing it. I'm going to be persistent about it. Kind of like a fly. You keep swatting the fly away and it keeps coming back to you. It's very persistent. Okay, so here's a sentence. Mrs. Coulter was persistent in her requirements for students to do their homework on time. Yeah, yep, exactly. Okay, let's do the next one. Okay, now that we've finished all of the words, that's a lot of words, I know, but you do have this to refer to. These were just the hardest words in there. Let's take a look at the story. I've passed out a copy of the story, and you'll see that there are some bold words. What does bold mean? Ruby? Yeah, they're darker words, so you can see them. They stand out. Now, these bold words are not necessarily on that vocabulary list, okay? These are something different. I want you to just kind of notice them as we read the story. And when we're done with the story, we're going to talk about what all of these bold words have in common. How are they alike? So we'll get to that. I just want you to notice them as we read our story.